Alrighty, folks, we are live. I'm George, one of the founders of Solo Suit. I'm here with Melinda Carrera. She's going to be talking with us about how does being sued affect my credit score. So we're going to be talking about how being sued for a debt lawsuit will affect your credit score. Melinda, you want to go ahead and tell us about yourself?
Yes, my name is Melinda Carrera. I am the owner of Street Financial, and I've been in the business now for about 12 years, going on 12 years. And as far as the main question, how a debt summons can affect your credit, any type of collection that goes into some sort of where it goes into a situation where they want to sue you, that can negatively impact your credit tremendously. It could even, they could levy your bank accounts, they can garnish your wages, and even go forward with doing other things as well.
Okay. All right, there we go. That sounds good. Thanks so much for coming on today. Happy to get into this topic. So what is your personal experience with rebuilding credit?
So my personal experience is I see that a lot of people are confused and they're unaware of how credit works. I see a lot of times people panic when they get summoned for a debt. They think that it's the end of the world. I see a lot of times people make mistakes because a lot of people don't have that education. A lot of people don't get taught credit as they are growing up, and a lot of times it's not taught in school. So when I come across what I commonly come across is it's a lack of knowledge when it comes to credit, and how it really is not the end of the world. When somebody has bad credit, it definitely can be turned around. Just like if you're being sued for a debt, it definitely can be turned around. All this stuff is not the end of the world, but a lot of people do panic. And so what I see is just that a lot of people don't see a way out when it comes to their bad credit or their situation. But there really is a way out.
Okay. Yeah, that's helpful to hear for a lot of our listeners, I'm sure. What kind of success stories have you seen? You've been working with Solo Suit for a while now, and also on your own, of course. Have you seen many success stories yet?
Yes, there are a lot of people who are finding success with Solo Suit. So a lot of people, when they get summoned for a debt, their first reaction is, "What is this? How do I respond?" It looks foreign to a lot of people because it comes on plea paper and it's just not your average letter that you get. And then also the language that is on that, you see you're being sued. Anybody that sees that terminology, it's an automatic response of like, what do I do? Or confusion, or people get scared. Well, with Solo Suit, I see when people actually do Solo Suit, they have peace of mind because now it's being handled by an actual attorney. They get a real response sent over, and a lot of people have success because this one client that I have, and I was trying to find the message that she wrote. I get a ton of messages on my TikTok and all my platforms, so I can't pinpoint it. But she just told me, she was thanking me because she had so much peace of mind. She was so scared. She was afraid. And she was thanking me because she didn't know Solo Suit existed. And she didn't know a company like that would handle her debt for her. Well, meanwhile, she's thinking it's the end of the world and she can't even sleep at night. But Solo Suit handled everything for her. And she may not even have to pay that debt back if she wins the case. I don't know. I'll follow up with her once I find the message. But if she wins that case, then, she's going to be super excited.
Nice. Fantastic. Yeah, we always love hearing success stories like that. So glad to hear it. Great. And then, folks, if you have any particular questions, feel free to put those into the chat. We reserve most of the time here on the webinar for any questions from you. Also, now's a fine time to make our disclaimer, right? Solo Suit's not your lawyer. We're not a law firm. We don't represent you. We're not providing legal advice here. We're just doing a webinar. And there you have it. and feel free to put any questions into the chat that you have. Melinda, how does somebody remove a lawsuit from their credit report?
So there's multiple ways that they can get this lawsuit removed from the credit report. The first way, which is the longest way, you can obviously just wait the 7 years. Typically it's 7 years, but there is a possibility after that 7 years that it could take a little bit longer, because a lot of people say, oh, 7 years, but it really sometimes may take 7.5 years. Or you can dispute it with the credit bureau. So that's going to be contacting TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, putting in a dispute with them. Or you can actually contact the creditor, especially if that debt is paid off, then it's going to be a lot easier for that debt to come off your credit report. So those are 3 of the most common ways to get a debt off your credit report, especially a lawsuit. But I would suggest definitely contacting the credit bureaus, because it seems to be the easiest that I've seen.
Okay, so once you're sued for a debt and you get the case settled, or maybe it's like dismissed, you want to, if it's still on your credit report, you want to contact the credit bureau and request that they take it off.
Correct.
What's the best way to...
Contact the credit bureau, especially if it's been dismissed and settled, then that definitely gives you a lead.
What's the best way to contact the credit bureau?
I would suggest calling for that, since you have it already settled. You can also send in a letter, but my preferred method is always going to be calling the credit bureau. So you do have to take some time. Experian is the easiest to get a hold of. Equifax and TransUnion just expect to be on the call for at least 30 minutes per bureau.
Okay. Okay, great. And what about a judgment? Let's say like the lawsuit goes towards a judgment. Does that ever fall off a credit report?
Yeah, after 7 years, I see judgments do fall off, but you can also dispute those as well. A lot of the judgments, sometimes they can be public records, so it's a little bit more of a tedious and lengthy process, but it's not to say that it can't be done. You might just have to keep contacting them, because they may give you runaround information.
Right. Okay. Okay, great. Let's jump into some questions from the crowd here. And folks, we have Yale and Hannah on the chat as well today. They're both with Solo Suit. So they'll be responding to your questions in text on the chat. So we'll be looking for their answers there. We're also going to go ahead and take those here on the video. We got a first question from Saray. This one's kind of for me. I filed my response using Solo Suit and they sent the motion to strike. How do I respond to that? Saray, so most of our system for Solo Suit is designed around helping people get their #1 desired outcome, which is to settle their case. So we generally recommend using our product to respond to the lawsuit and then making an offer to settle on Solo Settle. We don't have much support for additional documents in the lawsuit besides responding with the answer. So like a motion to strike, generally speaking, you got to respond with like a motion, like a counter motion and a memo supporting your counter motion. So a motion is a document asking a judge to do something, and you're just going to want to like file a counter motion asking the judge to do the opposite, which is to not strike, in this case, probably not to strike the defenses in your answer document. The main argument there is that sometimes people mistakenly believe that a dead answer with Solo Suit is like a template or a form, boilerplate legal document. It's totally not. It's customized entirely based on your responses and your situation. So it's like not a boilerplate response. It's customized to the inputs of that you've given us to your situation. So that's like going to be the main argument against the motion to strike. Moving on here, Nick Royster. I filed my response and the law group is offering to settle out of court. What should I do next? How should I respond? So Nick, usually if you're receiving an offer to settle, you want to assess the offer, and then if it sounds like a good offer to you, you probably want to accept it and then move forward. Most secure and easiest way to settle is going to be on Solo Settle, our debt settlement platform. That'll make it easy to get the settlement agreement from the collector, get it signed, make sure that it gets filed in court, and then also make it easy for you to make the payments to the collector and protect your financial information, making sure that it's secure when you're paying the collector. Melinda, anything you want to add on that one?
No, these sounds like these are more so questions for you, but covered all of it.
Sure, great. Let's see, and then Melinda, you've kind of already covered, like, once it gets settled, can you get that off your credit report, like, immediately once it's settled, or do you have to wait for it to be satisfied, like settled and paid?
No, so you can actually get it off your credit report ahead of time too. Like, just because you are paying for a debt, you still want it off your credit report. There's a lot of people who have debts that they're paying that are not on their credit report. So you still want your credit report clean so you can move forward. You can get approvals. You can get better rates. You can get, just so you can get cars, houses, whatever it is that you're trying to get. By having that on your credit report, that can really determine you not getting something or getting something, or that can determine the decision. So you want that off your credit report. Now, whatever is not on your credit report does not typically have to be disclosed to lenders. Lenders are not going to ask about debts that they don't see on your credit report. So if you're able to get it off your credit report and you're still handling it with them, paying your debt to whoever it is that you owe, that's completely fine. As long as it's not on your credit report, that's going to give you better chances of getting that approval and better rates. So yes, you definitely want to dispute it off your credit report, regardless if you're paying it and have something going on to settle it. You still want it off your report.
So you can get it off your report even before it's been fully paid, is what you're saying.
Correct. You can start getting it off your report right away. And I tell this to people all the time. Just because a debt is removed from your credit report does not mean that you do not have to pay the debt. So I want that to be clear. A lot of people think because things get deleted from their credit report, they think that, well, I don't have this financial responsibility anymore. That is not the case. You have to pay the debt, even if they're not on your credit report. Them coming off your credit report is solely just so you can move forward and you don't have to really have explanation to lenders and creditors.
Right. So what you're saying here is that a credit report is not always a precise or accurate representation of reality.
Oh, of course, right. Yes, absolutely.
Right. So the credit report is not your entire credit situation, right? You can have credit. You can have lines of credit that aren't on your credit report that might be delinquent. You can have lines of credit that are on your credit report but actually aren't delinquent. It's like misreported. So it's up to, ultimately it's up to you, it's up to the consumer to make sure that your credit report is ideal for your situation and your needs. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we call that kind of like an off the market, off record deal, not off market, off record deal. So I had somebody who had an American Express that was deleted from her credit report, but she's still paying her American Express. But she's able to move forward and get her house because that American Express is no longer on her credit report. And the lenders are not asking about that American Express because they don't see it on her report.
Nice. Sounds like a win.
Yeah. Well, she still has to pay it, but it is a win.
Right. Okay. Great. Next question. Joanna, I have a weird situation. I was being sued, but I was never served. I think they had an old address, and now the court site says case closed, dismissal, no ADR. What should I do? Joanna, it looks like Yale and Hannah kind of responded here for you as well. Closed dismissal means that your case has been dismissed. There's no need, and then no ADR means no alternative dispute resolution, so it's not going to go to court-sponsored arbitration or mediation. Let's see what Yale said here. So Yale with solo suit said, it sounds to me like the case was dismissed by the court for lack of service. If it was me, I would call the court and confirm that the case is dismissed. Yep, Yale, that sounds like a great move for you, Joanna. So generally speaking, a dismissal is kind of a good thing. Going back to Melinda's point here, just because it's dismissed out of court doesn't mean that you don't owe the debt. It also doesn't mean that's not on your credit report. So Melinda, how would Joanna here go and check to see if this is on her credit report?
She can pull a credit report. You do get one free credit report at annualcreditreport.com. You could pull that if you haven't pulled one already. If not, you can use Identity IQ. That's what I love to use. Or you can actually sign up with all three of the bureaus. It'll take a little bit more time. So you can sign up with Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, but Equifax does charge. There's another way. You can also check on Credit Karma. It's a little hard to read, but keep in mind that that's only going to show your Equifax and TransUnion. You will not be able to see your Experian, so you'll have to log in to Experian separately. But there are several ways you can pull a report. I would suggest, if you have not pulled a free report from annualcreditreport.com, pull one from there because you get one a year for free.
Okay, great. So Identity IQ is a good place to get a credit.
Correct. That's what I always prefer. They do give you a 7-day trial for $1. After that, they charge $24.99. But if you're just looking for one thing, then you can just pull an annual credit report.
And they allow ongoing monitoring of your score, right? So like annual credit report will only allow you to pull your score once a year. So you just get like a snapshot right now. With Identity IQ, you can like get a daily update or
you get monthly monitoring. So, and it's a lot easier to read the bureaus across to see exactly what TransUnion is reporting, Experian, and Equifax. And it's good to just see, everything is accurate because a lot of times they might have inaccurate information. 79% of credit reports contain errors. So just knowing that fact alone, it's good to actually see something that's going to be more detailed, like Identity IQ. But if you are just wanting to see that one thing to see if it's on your credit report, annualcreditreport.com will give you a free report as well.
70%. That's a large number. 70% of
79%.
reports. 79% of reports have inaccurate information.
According to the CFPB.
And that's the expert right there. Oh,
yeah.
It's a high number. Okay. Okay, great. Moving on to, let's see, next question. Folks, if you have any questions, just put those into the chat here and we'll try to get to them live. Okay, we have a question from Constant. How do you beat Midland Credit when they can't produce the original signed credit card application?
Are you trying to dispute it? Is that the question? I'm not 100% sure the question.
Yeah.
If that's what she means, how do you beat them? You're going to have to keep on disputing with them. So if you have already sent in letters, I would suggest get on the phone with Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, or whoever's reporting it. It may not be reported on all three, but contact them and let them know that you've sent in letters and that you've contacted Midland and they're not able to provide that contract for you. So everything that you put in that letter, you're going to want to basically verbally tell them. You're going to have to get somebody on the phone. And like I said, Experian is not hard to get somebody on the phone. It's TransUnion and Equifax where you may need to sit down for about 30 minutes per call, at least minimum. So it's just taking the time to call, to make those calls, to put in those disputes verbally.
Right. Yep. And Constant, yeah. So if you've been sued for the debt and they can't produce the original signed credit card application, if you don't owe the debt, then you can, certainly get the case dismissed, right? Move forward, get it dismissed. If you do owe the debt, then definitely the best path forward is going to be to get the case settled, because they can still come after you for the debt, even outside of court. Even if you get the case dismissed, they can still come after you for the debt. So if you owe the debt, best path forward is to get it settled. Maybe you'll be able to get a pretty large discount on that settlement, and you can make an offer to settle with them on Solo Settle. Probably get a monthly payment plan set up, or just like a lump sum settlement where you try to pay it all off right now. So those are some good options for you. Moving on to the next question. Mr. Rex, how do we get it off of our report? So I guess he's wondering, so like you see something on the report, how do they really get it off the report?
So, in order to get it off, you're going to have to dispute it. I would suggest going if you want to go an extra mile, cleaning up your personal information on your credit report so you can go onto the websites Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. They're completely free. Clean up all those old addresses, old phone numbers. That makes it a lot easier to get accounts removed because it's harder to have those accounts verified because a lot of these things they're just run through an e-Oscar system where they're not even really looked at. They're just, one after another, after another, after another. They receive so many a day that it's just done through a system. But if you make it harder for them to verify where you actually get a manual review, then I would suggest cleaning up your personal information. You can do that for free and it literally takes like 10 hours to update to get that personal information cleaned up. Once you get that personal information cleaned up, go ahead and dispute it. You can do it. I always suggest calling the credit bureaus as opposed to keep writing letters. If you already sent in a letter, don't keep sending letters if you're not getting results. You're going to have to switch up the way you're doing things. So if you sent a letter, you're not getting results. You sent another letter, you're still not getting results. You're going to want to get on the phone. I would suggest clean up your personal information, get on the phone. I would skip the whole letter process, but a lot of people like to send letters.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you're saying it's stronger just to get on the phone rather than saying something like an FCRA dispute letter.
Not, I wouldn't necessarily say it's stronger. They're both good, but I do know if you've been trying and trying the same method, you have to go over to another method. Where, I tell my clients just to call, depending on the situation. Everybody's credit report is different. If it is a large debt that you owe, I would always suggest sending a letter first, then getting on the phone. But if it's something minor, I would say just get on the phone. And when I say minor, that's anything under 5,000 is kind of what's considered minor. So I would suggest if you have already sent in letters, get on the phone.
Okay, great. And how do you find the phone numbers for those credit bureaus?
You can go on to you can Google them. Experian has them all listed on their website at the very bottom at Contact Us. They have all three of the credit bureaus listed there as well. So if you go to Experian.com, you can get all three of the contacts there.
Okay, great. So Experian.com, there you can find the contact info for the bureaus.
For all three.
Yep, and you can give them a call, Mr. Rex. All right. Another question. This is from Sathish. I have paid total judgment amount, but my employer says interest occurred until the garnishment was paid off, and the attorney's office confirmed the same. Please suggest what will be the interest judgment amount. Okay, Sathish, sounds like you probably want to get a lot more insight here. Let's take a look at what Yale said. So he said, I would suggest you read the judgment to determine how interest is calculated. Depends on the state how much the interest rate will be. Yep, that's astute. It's an astute take there. So yeah, you want to take a look at the original judgment. This is a pretty complicated matter, Satish. You definitely want to make sure you get to the bottom of it to make sure that you don't pay any more than you need to pay. So the judgment document, if you have that still, will show you the info. Hopefully you have the judgment in like a filing cabinet or something in your house. If you don't, you can try looking on the online docket for your court. You can usually find like an online docket for your case, and then you might be able to download the judgment document and review that. Usually judgment interest is around 10%. It's called statutory interest. It's often around 10% that can compound in addition to the interest on the loan itself. Interest on the loan may have been paused alternatively, but it can be a pretty significant amount. What seems a little bit weird here is you're saying you already paid the total judgment amount, Now there's interest in addition to that. That's not usually how interest payments work. Usually it will pay interest plus the principal in every monthly payment. So that's why things sound a little bit weird. But you'll want to take a look at it to make sure that you don't have to pay more than you need to. And it sounds like also your wages have been garnished, so you probably haven't had a whole lot of insight into the payment process, but you probably want to open up a spreadsheet or something like that and really make an accounting of what you've paid, how much is left to be paid. Anything you want to chime in on there, Melinda?
Nope.
Great.
You seem like you covered all of that. That seems like a question for you.
Nice. Yep. Let's see. We have time for one more question.
Oh, the time goes by so fast.
Yeah, let's see. How do we begin the conversation? This is a question from C. How do we begin the conversation of removal? So let's say like you're on the phone, calling this big number. How do you actually begin that conversation?
So depending on the debt, of course, now, if you actually owe the debt, you're going to have to ask for original contract and all that stuff. So you're going to have to tell them that you've already asked for the original contract. They may want some sort of proof. They will tell you what they require for proof. And if it is a debt that you really have paid off or a debt that is actually not yours, you're going to just simply tell them that you paid this debt off and you want to get this removed from your credit report. You talk to the lender or the creditor. They said that there's nothing that they can do on their end, so you're coming to them. But you always have to make sure that you've already contacted the original creditor and lender and have asked them to remove it prior to going to the credit bureaus, because the credit bureaus are going to ask you if you've already done that.
Okay.
So make sure you contact the creditor, and also you can contact the creditor or lender as well to have it removed.
Great. All right. Well, that's the beginning of the conversation there. All right, Melinda. Well, we are half past the hour, so that's time to wrap up. Everybody, thanks so much for showing up. Happy we could help you out. As always, we are here for you. We're looking to help everybody out, especially help consumers connect with collectors to get better settlements for everybody and get back on the right track. This is Melinda Carrera, who's been here with us today. Melinda, where can people find you online?
Right, everything is Mel Money Gal. That's all on my social media. I have a ton of fake accounts, so it's all MEL Money, MONEYGAL. I only have one account.
Okay, great. So that's Mail Money Gal.
Yes.
All right, and that's mail as in MAIL?
MEL.
Ah, Mel
Yes.
Money Gal.
And like I said, there's
as in Melinda.
A ton of fake accounts. So I only have one account. You'll know which. I would hope you would know which one is real. It looks real.
Yep. Go for the real Mel Money Gal.
I don't know. They pop up every other day. There's new ones. I can't keep up anymore.
It's fake accounts. Those bots. All right. All right, Melinda. Thanks so much for coming on.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.